Hello there, everybody. I firstly wanted to just do a little explanation. I know that I've become really just absent on this channel and I literally have just been doing monthly wrap-ups. There is reasons for this, partly just laziness, not gonna lie. Also, my phone is being an idiot at the moment. It keeps saying storage full, but it takes ages to clean off anything, and when I'm filming it just constantly stops me and says, storage full, which is really irritating, and I do need to sort it out, but time runs away with me. One day I will, and I will bring you more videos, you lovely, lovely beings. So, this is my July wrap-up. Let's quickly first skip to me of the past to talk about my library read for the month. My library read for this month was Submarine by Jo Dunthorpe. This has been on my wishlist for a while, so when I saw it at the library I thought excellent, because it wasn't one I necessarily thought I was going to want to keep anyway, but something I did want to read, so that was great. I have very mixed feelings about this. Basically, this is sort of like a diary, sort of not, from a Welsh boy called, let me remember, Oliver Tate. He's a very unique individual and he's quite funky, and I really liked him at first. I liked his quirkiness. He's almost a bit, I don't know whether he is autistic. It is mentioned at the beginning that his parents kind of think he might be, but I think he's just quite socially awkward and generally awkward in life and has some very funny ideas. He's obsessed with like learning big words and what they mean, and he's just quite an odd character. And this follows, it's kind of about his first relationship and also about the sort of struggles his mum and dad are having and his feelings about those, and what he tries to do to bring them closer together because he suspects his mum's having an affair. I have mixed feelings about this because I loved it when I first started it. It made me laugh out loud. It was hilarious, and I never laugh out loud at books. It's very, very rare I read a funny book, so I was really enjoying it, and I thought it was going to be a really light relief. But then stuff happens in this that I don't necessarily agree with. Oliver's actions go from being quite cute to being harmful in some cases, and it's still sort of passed off as funny. There's an incident with an animal in this that I think was the main thing that made me think that's not something I find funny, and it's kind of put me off the character that he did that. And also his relationship with his parents I just found kind of unrealistic. I mean, like, he knows that, for example, he says in the beginning that he knows when they're having sex because they dim the dimmer switch on the light, and when it's on full blast that means they're not having sex, and he knows that they haven't had sex in so long, and he's sort of keeping track of their sex lives and trying to bring them together to have sex, and like he wants to hear them have sex because it would mean that they're okay. And it's just like he's like, I think he's like 14, 15. A teenage boy wouldn't feel that way about his parents. I don't think, I mean, he is a unique individual, so the fact that he notices that they haven't been having sex isn't what was a problem for me, but I certainly don't think any teenage boy, no matter how unique they are, would want to hear their parents having sex. I don't think, I mean, they wouldn't even want to contemplate the fact that their parents are having sex. It's just not a thing, I feel. However, all in all, I did enjoy this. There's some very funny points. I liked how it all came together. It was quite neat. One thing I will say is that I very much think this was written in order to be a film. I think the author very much saw this as a film in his head, and that was very prevalent at the end. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I also think a book is a thing in its own right, and you shouldn't necessarily write it to become a film. Obviously, this has become a film, which I will be watching. However, I think another thing that may have ruined this slightly for me is that I was really enjoying the characters, and I looked for the trailer of the film because I wanted to sort of see how the characters translated onto that, and that kind of ruined it because Oliver wasn't who I would have put him to be. He was just a typical teenage boy, whereas I was thinking of him as someone with a few issues. Yeah, but it's worth a read. It's funny. Take it for what it is. It's not the most realistic, but then it's not meant to be. It's just meant to be a bit of fun, and it is really enjoyable. And back to the present. Right, so then I read Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. Now, I read this when I was about, I must have been about 16, 17, and it completely blew me away. It's a little book. It completely blew me away the first time I read it. Not as impressed this time. First, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown on what this is. This is a dystopian book about a future where firemen, instead of putting out fires, start them in order to burn books, because books are considered dangerous, knowledge is considered dangerous, And, you know, what book lover would not hate that horrendous scenario? This is a good book, and Ray Bradbury's writing, again, really just struck me. I do love his writing. He's just spectacular. But it didn't blow me away as much as when I was 17. I still loved it, but like, it changed my life when I read it the first time. I put it down and was like, oh my gosh. It didn't do that for me this time, but then I think before I went into it with no expectations, and obviously when you go back into something with higher expectations, it doesn't quite live up, sadly. But still, I would definitely recommend it for anybody who hasn't read it yet. Then I read The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherine M. Valente. I know this has been going around for ages, and everybody who's read it is like, I didn't pick this up for a very long time until I think it was Jane Campbell posted on Instagram some extracts, and the writing just made me think, oh, I really want to read that. And I enjoyed it. I wouldn't rave about it as much as other people have, because it's just not really something I would typically pick up. This is about a girl called September who finds herself being taken away to Fairyland, and it's sort of about her quest in Fairyland. She realises that things are not right in Fairyland. It's a little Narnia-esque, you know, an evil sort of queen has sort of destroyed things, and it's September's job to sort of fix what's happened. And it's fun, it's magical. It put me in mind of so many kids' books. I mean, there was Narnia in there was definitely some Never-Ending Story in there, and I'm sure that at points there was other things that I thought, oh yeah, you know, and you can really relate to where all the inspirations come from. It's a really good read. As I say, it's not something I would typically rave about, but it's definitely worth reading, especially if you like sort of middle grade books. Though I would say, even though this is written for children, it's definitely one of those children's books that is, though written for children, very much written with adults in mind. And I think as a child you would read it and think it was an average book. Although there was some bits in there that would have scared me when I was a child, I'm sure. But as an adult you read it and you really, you know, it's so magical, and very much there's beautiful bits in here. I mean, a great example is the leopard of Little Breezes yawned up and further off from the rooftops of Omaha, Nebraska, to which September didn't even wave goodbye. One ought not to judge her. All children are heartless. They have not grown a heart yet, which is why they climb tall trees and say shocking things and leap so very high that grown-up hearts flutter in terror. Hearts weigh quite a lot. That is why it takes so long to grow one. But, as in their reading and arithmetic and drawing, different children proceed at different speeds. It is well known that reading quickens the growth of a heart like nothing else. Some small ones are terrible and fey, utterly heartless. Some are dear and sweet, and hardly heartless at all. September stood very generally in the middle of the day, on the day the green wind took her, somewhat heartless and somewhat grown. So there's loads of little bits like that in there, and it's in the 90s, so it was quite a bit before We Need to Talk About Kevin, and reading it you can tell that Lionel Shriver was very not new to writing, but it's sort of early on in her writing journey, and her writing's not half as refined as it is in We Need to Talk About Kevin, but I still enjoyed this in a really strange, bizarre way, and I wouldn't have thought I would enjoy it. I will tell you why. This follows a married couple. They are both tennis players, and that initially put me off. It's all about tennis, basically, but obviously also about their relationship, and it's all tied in together. I wouldn't have picked it up unless it was Lionel Shriver, purely because of the tennis thing. I'm not interested in tennis, although strangely, weird connection, I ended up reading this when Wimbledon was on without even realising. Funny. Basically, we meet, I can't remember what their names are, but the woman, she has sort of been playing tennis from a really young age. Her passion is to be a pro tennis player, and she's done well. She's in the sort of top 500, I think, when we meet her, of tennis players, so she's doing well and she's sort of up and coming, but she's very worried about, you know, her time sort of ticking, and obviously when you're playing tennis, the younger you can get big, the better, because by the time you're sort of in your 30s, you're kind of past it, so she's very aware of that. She then meets her husband-to-be, I suppose, at the time, who is sort of, he's not passionate about tennis like she is, and he does play tennis and he does want to do it professionally, but only because he thinks it'll be sort of a good career. He knows he can make a lot of money from doing it. And he's one of these people that's good at everything he turns his hand to. So he's sort of just starting when they meet, really, and through their relationship they obviously get married. One thing I would say, I found the sort of beginning and romantic bit of their relationship a bit lacking. I didn't feel the buzz of the love, if you know what I mean, but that wasn't necessarily an issue for me as much as it normally would be, because I enjoyed this book strangely. I don't know, it just captured me. So they get married, and her husband very soon overtakes her. She has an unfortunate accident which sort of sets her back majorly. So everybody understands that frustration of that person who just doesn't have the passion you have, hasn't worked at it all his life, and just comes along and he's better than you. Not to mention the fact, to make it worse, he's your husband. So this gets pretty dark. It's quite a twisted look at relationships and sort of our way of being around people who we're sort of jealous of, and how she copes with the fact that this happens, and it just, it doesn't go well for them. But I liked it. It was dark, it was intense, and I just enjoyed it. I don't know, it would be many people's cups of tea, and somebody else could read it and think it's absolutely awful, but for some reason it spoke to me. I liked it. Then, gem of the month, I read East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I haven't read any Steinbeck since school, when I read Of Mice and Men, which I don't even remember, and I don't know, shamefully, whether I read it in its entirety or just the bits I had to read, because, you know, I was studying it, so it was boring automatically, which is a shame, and I will reread that one. But I wanted to read East of Eden because everybody who mentions this book ever that I've seen has been like, oh, this is one of my favourites, I need to reread it. So I wanted to read it. I was a bit sceptical. It's big. I mean, this copy doesn't look as big as a lot of copies, but the writing is teeny tiny and the pages are really, really thin pages, so it's sort of crammed in there. It's over 600 pages in this edition, so yeah, it's big. And I've heard it's quite a slow read, it's not a plot-based novel, and I was thinking it was going to be quite a trek and that it was going to be hard work. It really wasn't. I adored Steinbeck's writing. I'm definitely going to be reading more of him, and I think he's going to be a real favourite for me. I mean, this has gone into my favourite books section already. It's epic, and I loved it, and what more can I say? I find it... I've written a blog post about this, which you'll find my blog linked below if you want to see sort of a more eloquent, thought-through explanation of this. I found it quite difficult to explain this book because it's not plot-driven. We basically predominantly follow two families, the Trasks and the Hamiltons. More the Trasks, which is a shame because I think the Hamiltons were such a good... Oh, I loved the Hamiltons. But we don't see as much of them, especially towards the sort of last sort of 3/4, I'd say, of the book. They kind of disappear into the background. But we follow predominantly, I would say, the Trasks. And we follow sort of 3 generations through the book, and it kind of discusses the idea of people choosing their own fate and choosing between being good and bad, obviously with the Eden reference there. And there is a lot of Bible references in this. The story of Cain and Abel turns up again and again. It's very much about, you know, brother rivalry in there, and it's fascinating. When I say there's Bible references, don't let that put you off. It's not a sort of preachy book at all. It just sort of uses the Bible stories to get its point across, which I think is excellent. And there is a sort of recurring word in this is Timshel, which is sort of translated as thou mayest, which is obviously thou mayest choose your own path sort of thing. It's so good. Like, my explanation will not do this justice, but I think you should read it. And because I knew my explanation wouldn't do this justice, I have highlighted a part that I'm going to read to you. It's a part early on because I didn't want to spoil anything. It's not the best part. There are better. But I thought this was a nice example of why this is such a good book. Adam said, "Let me tell you, the proofs that God does not exist are very strong, but in lots of people they are not as strong as the feeling that he does. But you said you didn't love our Father. How can you have faith in him if you didn't love him?" "Maybe that's the reason," Adam said slowly, feeling his way. "Maybe if I had loved him I would have been jealous of him. You were. Maybe. Maybe love makes you suspicious and doubting. Is it true that when you love a woman you are never sure? Never sure of her because you aren't sure of yourself. I can see it pretty clearly. I can see how you loved him and what it did to you. I didn't love him. Maybe he loved me. He tested me and hurt me and punished me and finally sent me out like a sacrifice. Maybe to make up for something. But he didn't love you, and so he had faith in you. Maybe it's a kind of reverse. Just read it. You should read it. I read The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. This is one of the ATP Penguin classics. It's number 42 for those of you who are interested. Really cute little books. I actually want to get some more after reading this because I enjoyed it. This is more than just The Yellow Wallpaper, which is a short story which is probably really her most famous. We've also got The Rocking Chair and Old Water in here, which were both good, and I didn't realise they were in there, so that was a bonus. The Yellow Wallpaper I have wanted to read for a long time, but the only copy I could find was like £14. I mean, for a short story, let me show you how short it is. It's that short. It is 28 pages long, so I didn't want to pay like £14 for it, so I was really pleased to see it in this edition. Basically, I will talk to you about The Yellow Wallpaper predominantly because that is the main sort of one and the one I bought it for. It's about a woman who she gets her and her partner move into a room with yellow wallpaper, which used to be, I think, a nursery, and she's not been well. We don't know why she's not been well. But she's not been well. Her husband won't take her seriously and the doctor won't take her seriously, but she's not been well. We know that much. And they move in and she becomes obsessed with this wallpaper. She sees patterns in it. She becomes sort of obsessed with the idea that there's somebody behind the wallpaper who comes out and runs about. And yeah, it all gets a bit weird. It's about mental illness basically, and also feminism and things like this. And yeah, it was good. I mean, for ATP, if I'd spent £14 on it, I might have been a bit disappointed, but for ATP... So that was my reading. As I say, I will work on my phone and sort out the storage issues so that I can record some more videos. I mean, during this video, I've had to stop about 5 times. It's taken me about an hour because I've had to keep stopping and deleting bits here and there. Trouble is, it takes so blimmin' long and irritates me, but I will sort it out, and yes, bye!